He's like stuck in his food. He's in his food. Srimad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Ashtatana Jyotish is the right way. Prabhupada ki jai. Jam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Ashtatana Jyotish Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai. Jai Go Premanande. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to Grantabad Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Krishna, dear devotees, those online and those in presence. Very nice having presence audience. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 1 from the 6th canto, the history of the life of Ajamil, and verse today is 45. You have the verse just to recite. Yanayavan yatha dharmo dharmo veha samhita sa eva tat phalam bhunkte tatha tavata mutravai. Yanayavan yatha dharmo dharmo veha samhita sa eva tat phalam bhunkte tatha tavata mutravai. Yanayavan yatha dharmo dharmo veha samhita sa eva tat palam bhunkte tatha tavata mutravai. Translate. Yadnayavan yatha dharmo dharmo veha samhita sa eva tat palam bhunkte tatha tavata mutravai. Try to hide, okay? Will not torture. Yena, by which person? Yavan, to which extent? Yadha, in which manner? Adharmaha, irreligious activities. Dharma, religious activities. Va, or iha, in this life. Samihitaha, performed. Saha, that person. Eva, indeed. Tadpalam, the particular result of that. Bhunkte, enjoys or suffers. Tata, in that way. Tavat, to that extent. Amutra, in the next life. Vai, indeed. Translation. In proportion to the extent of one's religious or irreligious actions in this life, one must enjoy or suffer the corresponding reactions of his karma in the next. Purport. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 14:18, Urdhvam gachanti sattvasta madhye tishtanti rajasaha jaganyaguna vrittista ago gachanti tamasaha. Those who act in the mode of goodness are promoted to higher planetary systems to become demigods. Those who act in an ordinary way and do not commit excessively sinful acts remain within this middle planetary system. And those who perform abominable sinful actions must go down to hellish life. Okay, the verse again. Yana yavanyatha dharmo dharmo veha samihataha sa eva tat palam bhungte tathatavat amudravai. In proportion to the extent of one's religious or irreligious actions in this life, one must endure or suffer the corresponding reactions of his karma in the next. Short text today. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayarupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhe Vacha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Deve Shesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Hare Krishna. Narayana Namaskrityam Narottam Devim Saraswati Vyasa Tato Jayamudirayat Nashtaprayashva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamashri Bhakti Bhavati Naishti. So in this verse we are given the definition of the opportunities in the middle planetary system, and that is to either generate bad karma or good karma, and either be promoted to the heavenly planets or go to the hellish planets, or even remain at the same middle planetary planets. And this is the cross section that is available only in middle planetary system, because in hellish planets you only suffer the results of your bad karma, and in heavenly planets you just enjoy the results of your good karma. And in the middle planetary systems, if you are born again, you also suffer and you also enjoy according to the karma that you accumulated in the previous life. So, which is explained here, not excessively committing sinful activities, and obviously not done so much good or not so much pious activities. So you kind of remain in the middle. And of course, in Kali Yuga, it's all hell anyway, because if you say to sages of Namisharanya that there will be a time when you will be buying bottled water, and even at a certain point of time, even breathing oxygen masks, or using the 3M filters masks in order to navigate yourself through the polluted air. And um, you know, you eating food which actually bring you diseases rather than giving you energy and nutrition. So what kind of life is that? We live in a serene environment here in Gita Nagari compared to the rest of the world, and even here, time after time, we suffer some of that. Uh, to a certain extent, some of that abominable karma that is generated in the world. We just had forest fires in Canada, which affected us last year, so we had a bad air. and things like that. So it's unavoidable. So better not to generate any karma, do the akarma thing, that is, serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead and be promoted to the spiritual realm. We don't have to suffer all of that, either good or bad karma. So it's akarma activities. And Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita 4.7, he says, actually, let me ask you a question first. Why do you think Krishna comes once a day in Day of Brahma? It's explained that he doesn't have to come specifically at that time, but somehow or other he comes usually when the Dvarapa Yuga is finishing and the Kali Yuga just begins. Do you know the reason why? Yes? What is the reason?
To reestablish
Yes, to establish rules. Huh?
Vedic knowledge.
Yes. To revive Dharma. So he says in 4.7 that Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bhavati. So glanir means when the religion is declining, and then adharmasya. Not only is declining, but when it's becoming predominant, when the adharma becomes predominant in the world, at that time I descend to reestablish those principles too. And then for it, to punish the miscreants, to give pleasure to devotees. So those are internal reasons. But first of all, it's when it's glanir, when it's declining, but not only is declining, when adharma becomes predominant, when adharma becomes predominant in the world, that Krishna can no longer tolerate, because idea of this material world is to teach us hard lessons in order to return back to Godhead. But if there's no dharma, if there's no principles, there's no method, there's no knowledge how to return, then it's unfair to those who want to return, right? So Krishna reestablishes those principles, the dharma. And my speculation, he comes in the end of Dwarpa Yuga, is because there's no glanir or adharmasya in Satya Yuga, obviously. There's no glanir adharmasya in Treta Yuga. And even in Dwapar Yuga, it's already manifesting, but more closer to the time, closer to the end of Dwapar Yuga, and just before the Kali Yuga begins. So Krishna already, becomes intolerable. So he comes and relieves the burden of Mother Earth. Srila Prabhupada comments that he doesn't have to come at that time, but somehow or other, this pattern is obvious, that once a day of Brahma, he comes at that time. So it's his own schedule, but also the reason is there because the Dharma is declining severely. And it gives us opportunity to uplift our consciousness. Of course, in Kali Yuga, it's even worse. But luckily, in specifically our Kali Yuga, Lord Chaitanya descends. And as I was doing my research about 15th century, everything was at war. Everything was at war. Chinese were fighting with Mongolians and Japanese, and Russians were fighting with also Mongolians, kind of the Tatars and so forth. Europe was fighting with Turks as well as among themselves, France with England, and it's not just France with England, it's a 100-year war where so many other allies were involved in both parties. South America was not so developed at the time, so Aztecs and others were fighting with the other tribes. Anyway, fighting was going on. Aboriginals also were fighting. Muslims were attacking India, so they were fighting. Like everybody was fighting. Pirates were just loitering, and then of course there was just the trades, just international trade. And during that international trade from India kind of to Europe, also there were like different groups of rocks that were attacking and fighting. So fighting was everywhere. And quite often a lot of religious principles were broken by innocent people suffering. And of course, on top of that, there were floods, earthquakes, and volcano eruptions in that century. China suffered the greatest floods. The Yellow River was like out 7 times, killing like tens of thousands of people. There was one volcano eruption which affected the crops, and there was the coldest winter in the whole world. So there was no crops. Then, of course, there was diseases. And there was Inquisition, so the Christians were also fighting the so-called non-believers. And then, of course, the Muslims were fighting Christians also. So anyway, this all was going on. And the slave trade started also at the time from Africa. So Portuguese, Danish, British, French, Spanish, all started to export slaves in like millions, not immediately millions, but progressively to millions. So this is all going on in 15th century, and here comes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he's coming with his weapons, with his associates, with his entourage, everything. He comes with everything as the Lord comes, but his weapon it says to be his beauty. So he comes with raised arms, surrendering, right? This is in a war, we raise arms like I'm armed, I'm weaponless. So Lord Chaitanya does the same, but he says I'm weaponless, but I'll conquer you with my beauty. And he starts to dance and chant in all of what I just described. Everybody's fighting everyone. It's like a completely crazy situation. Like this whole world is on fire. Samsara Davna Lila Loka. It's ignited with fire. The fire is everywhere. There's no religion whatsoever. I mean, some traces of, some sincere Christians or some sincere Muslim people and Jewish people. They try their best within the knowledge they have, but still, it's affecting the nations. It's affecting the politics. It's affecting like this constant war based on religion also. And here comes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he starts like completely different movement. Says, just chant the holy name of God, be happy, be non-violent, be that, be this. Come back to Godhead. He attracts everyone. Even the Muslim rulers at that time, they couldn't interfere with Lord Chaitanya. They could see this person is far out. He's beyond our jurisdiction. We cannot touch him. So, and not only that, it's interesting because Lord Chaitanya's associates, they becoming part of the government of Bengal rulers at the time. So Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, those two. And then there were more. It's described there's at least 3 or 4 more Vaishnavas that were highly ranked in ministries. I just don't have my notes to give you the names, but it's described in Chaitanya Charitamrita when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was passing through Bengal on his pilgrimage to Vrindavan. Then Nabab Hussain Shah was kind of concerned what's going on because he got the reports. And before Rupa Goswami, there was another advisor, highly ranked advisor, Vaishnava. I forgot, maybe somebody remembers his name, Ghosh or something. And he said to Lord Chaitanya, he said to Nawab Hussain Shah that better, he decided to describe kind of like that he's harmless, that he's not so important actually, he's just passing by like this. So Nawab Hussain Shah listened to him first, and then Rupa Goswami comes. He asks him also. And Rupa Goswami is such a devotee, great devotee. He's an expert diplomat also, but he knows, like if you compare those explanations of both defending Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's safety, really, that's the motive behind both of them. But the way Rupa Goswami says this is absolutely amazing. He says, you are the king. You've been appointed by God. God speaks to you directly in the heart. You answer this question, who is this Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? This is the great boon and benediction that this person comes through your kingdom. It means you've done so much pious activities that this is the benediction. And and the funny thing is that, so he mentions that Lord Chaitanya is God in a very interesting way, kind of almost indirect. And then he asks him to say it by glorifying him profusely, saying, you're a representative of God. God speaks to you in the heart. This is happening because of your pious exchanges. And then above says, I think Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is God. So he himself says that. And so, when When you already pronounced it, how can you attack or stop or interfere? So he arranges that nobody interferes with Lord Chaitanya's activities and let him peacefully do his job and like that. So a completely different scenario that is given to us as a way, as an opportunity, as a path. So here's just described, okay, you can go to higher planetary system, you can go to lower. And how can you cultivate mode of goodness in Kali Yuga without having at least some relation to bhakti? It's practically impossible. I was listening to a uh, state of being, like how much cows are suffering in Kali Yuga. You know, I read that in Geneva there's an organization that counts how many war conflicts going on right now in the world. Can you guess the number? How many wars, either in a cold state or hot state, means active right now, or just like suppressed? No options, just give me the number. How many currently, I'm not saying previous ages, right now, how many wars are going on right now in the world? Any guesses you can write in chat or you can say?
50.
50? 100? Close. Bit more. A little bit more.
Let's take it 150.
Less. 113. At least 113. It's probably even hard to calculate. 113 wars going on even right now in Kali Yuga in 2024. Some of them are more active, like Russia, Ukraine, and Azerbaijan, Armenia, like that. But some of them are in a cold, Israel, Palestine, like this. But some of them are colder in a way that they're not active right now, like South Korea and North Korea and India, China, and I don't know, Middle East, and so many other places. Africa. They even give by like continents: 6 in South America, 7 in Europe, 40 in Middle East with North Africa, 35 in Africa, and 10 in Asia or something like that. So, so why is going on? And so I was listening to a presentation about agriculture, cow protection by ISKCON Deity Ministry, Kalakanta Prabhu, and Krishna Kshetra Swami was giving some data. So how many cows are slaughtered annually? Do you know?
Why do you want to guess? How do you want us to guess that? So many. 100,000.
How many cows all over the world annually are slaughtered? Millions, yes, millions. But how many millions? Okay, it's 9 cows per second. It's 500 cows per minute or something. It's 300 million cows per annum. 300, it's like whole population of America. A little less. 330 we have million. So it's like population of United States every year. That's how many cows. So if we have this adharmasya going on, complete adharmasya, Krishna says, I'm coming when yada yada hidharmasya, bhavati bhavata. I'm coming when this is in decline, and especially when it's adharma. So right now it's like complete adharma, killing own mother in such a number. What can we expect? I would say we should expect more wars than 113. We should expect more natural disasters. We already have that. We can expect more. If we don't stop that, we can expect much more. It's interesting when Srila Prabhupada was coming to was planning to come on his last trip to Gita Nagari, to New York, Gita Nagari, New Vrindavan, and Los Angeles. That was his plan. He landed in UK. That was his last stop. He had to return back. And Janananda Swami, at that time I think Brahmachari, he was driving Prabhupada to Bhaktivedanta Manor, and he was asked. He was a Sankirtan leader at that time. They were distributing books, competing with those big shots, Radha Damodar Bus Party, LA Temple, those Germans. So they were up there, top 5 British yatra. So he had everything ready for Prabhupada. Book scores, how many books, how many devotees distributing books, like that. And Srila Prabhupada wanted to talk to him while driving. And so he said, the first question he asked, how the cows are doing. He lives in Bhaktivedanta Manor, they have cows. Next question, how many cows are there? Third question, how many milkmen are there who take care of the cows? And all questions were about cows. And he had none of the answers. He said this was the most embarrassing time of my life. Here I'm driving Prabhupada thinking he's only concerned about book distribution. He always asking me questions about how cows are treated. Then he comes to Bhaktivedanta Manor. And at that time in India, it's not like today. Millions of devotees, thousands of temples, few farms, not so many farms, but few farms. At that time, at Mayapur, there was a invasion, there was arrests. Bhavananda was in jail, some other devotees were in jail. They were after Prabhupada, actually. There were so many impediments and obstructions in India at that time. And Prabhupada comes to UK and he says, the first thing he says is, after this car trip, when he gets the moment of public speaking to all his devotees, he says, this Western world, or Western people are so nice. You've always been so supportive. He was meeting mayors and such a nice reception. He says, so supportive, so much reception. People are so nice. Everything is so nicely organized. He says, if only they could stop eating cows. And he even says, is there any other type of meat they can eat? That's how Prabhupada, he was so concerned about cows and bulls. Why? Because they are the basis of Dharma. It says the Dharma is embodied in the body of a cow and a bull. He stands on those four legs of purity, austerity, truthfulness, and mercifulness. This is the legs of Dharma. This is the legs of religion. And all of those legs being gradually cut down as yugas were progressing to Kali Yuga. And even it says even in Kali Yuga, there's one leg left, truthfulness, even that is shaking. So much lying. Even in religious societies. Those who are supposed to be the Dharma personification, we see all those sins going on. So people losing faith. They not aspire. If they see cheating, duplicity, and lie everywhere, where can they find the shelter? Same questions sages of Namisharanya ask. They ask, so where the principles of religion will take shelter as Lord Krishna left us, not left completely, left to his abode, disappeared from our eyesight. When sun is disappearing during the day, it's not that it left completely, it disappeared. It didn't disappear, just temporarily not visible, either through the clouds or through the night time, but it's there. So Sages Namisharana asked this question to Sutta Goswami, so where those principles will take shelter? And of course, one of the answers is in Srimad Bhagavatam, in those descriptions of the pastimes of the Lord. So only that can really elevate us above and beyond the mode of Tamagun and Rajagun and even Sattvagun. Sattvagun is dangerous mode. It's good. It's very good. It's full of goodness. But it also has its dangers. You can become too pure, thinking that others are impure. And so you become proud. You can become proud of knowledge and you can become comfortable. You feel very comfortable. I'm not suffering. I'm regulated, sleeping on time, eating on time. No diseases. I'm happy. I know how to navigate myself through this world, not to accumulate karma and all the rituals. And in this way, you can stuck in this real material world, even in demigods' bodies. So, in fact, people in Satya Yuga are, in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam is described that even in Satya Yuga, people are jealous or wanting to get birth in Kali Yuga. Wait a minute, didn't you just describe in the first chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, this is the most abominable age to be born? Mandasama Mateo was so lazy, so stupid, so always in anxiety. Our lives are short. We don't have no memory. Like, how can you practice anything, any spiritual activity here? It's just everything is irreligious. Everything is adharma. So much suffering, so much, it's like no shelter, always anxiety. How can you practice? Despite all of that, it's one good thing, only one good thing. Kali Yuga, the holy name, with its full potency. Krishna invested all his energies into holy name. He is present in his holy name. It's available to everyone. It's for free. You can chant it anywhere and everywhere. And you can get purified. You can purify your consciousness. You can raise above modes of nature. You can take shelter. Everything is available in a form of holy name. In fact, you can so spiritualize the atmosphere, you can live almost like in a spiritual world just by practicing it seriously. In association with devotees, of course, because alone it will not be possible. Only Haridas Thakur can do. But together, chanting holy name together as a Yuga Dharma, and implementing other important angas of devotional service, like reciting scriptures, serving the deities, residing in a holy place ideally, and associating with devotees. So this will give you full protection, completely immunized. Although some people don't like shots, but I don't like shots. But immunized against the impurities of Kali Yuga. And then there's no question of what's described here, suffering or enjoying. We're rejecting both enjoyment and suffering. We don't want to enjoy, because this enjoyment will result in suffering later. That we know, because of the knowledge. Not that we're against enjoyment. Okay, it comes, but we're not attached to it. Even in this material body, if enjoyment comes or suffering comes, we tolerate. Like seasons, winter and summer comes, we'll tolerate. Same suffering and enjoyment will tolerate. With having the goal, final goal, where are we heading? So, and also knowing these facts, as I said about cows or wars, we should develop a little bit more compassion or a little bit more urgency to share it with as many as possible people to actually stop that suffering. Because it's possible to stop suffering Kali Yuga, but just people have to take shelter of that knowledge and apply it. Taking shelter means applying. If you're saying taking shelter of spiritual master, it means following instructions. Taking shelter of Lord Krishna means following his instructions in Bhagavad Gita, applying it in a daily practice, daily life. So that's the end of my presentation today. I have 15 more minutes to questions or comments, both online and live. So I just opened the chat. Okay, nothing in the chat at the moment. Anyone? Yes, Alina?
I just wanted to clarify.
I will repeat so you can hear.
So in here where we are, it's only humans who accumulate God, right? And as other Jews, they don't accumulate God.
Correct. So the question is, only humans accumulate karma? Yes, only jivas that are in this human life form, they accumulate karma by performing religious activities. So there's only two things: dharma and adharma, religious and irreligious activities. And what's the word? Maybe I should have can help me. Anukarana and anusharana. Anukarana means I imitate. If I start imitating the pastimes of Krishna, so Krishna, that's why Maharaj Parikshit asked, well, hold on a second. Krishna came to establish Dharma, but how come he's dancing with unmarried girls in the forest? What's going on here? You know, Parakya Rasa, how is this going to establish Dharma? He knows. He's asking it on behalf of those who sit in, who's present. There's no all devotees. In presence of Shukadev Goswami speaking to Maharaj Parikshit, there were also non-devotees, just sages, maybe impersonalists even, I don't know. Different type of people. So for their benefit, they may have doubts. He's asking this question. He knows the answer. And the answer is that those girls, when they were small, they were praying to goddess Katyayani. We want Krishna as our husband. They were attracted to Krishna from very beginning. And that was their sincere desire. And Krishna is God. And as Krishna says in 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita 4:11, how you surrender to me, I reciprocate to you in the same way. Everyone follows my path. So Krishna heard their prayer. I mean, Katyayani also assisted, but he heard their prayer. They want to be my wives. Fine, they will be. How he can be your wife? And enjoying the certain exchange, love and exchange that Krishna allowed later. And he's God. They all are there, his parts anyway, and they are pure souls. So, but of course, in material world, it's hard to understand. That's why it's not in the first canto or even in the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's in the middle of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. We're supposed to study all the 9 canto, understanding who is Krishna first, how his energy work, who we are in relation to Krishna. Of course, that begins in Bhagavad Gita. Who am I? Who's God? Who's material nature? And how's time affecting? How's karma? But then in Srimad Bhagavatam, it continues that understanding of Krishna, Paramatmiti, Bhagavaniti, Shabdate. You start with all the basics, understanding all the aspects of the Lord, all his energies, how it works, and then relationship to devotees, and then gradually Lord Shiva will sing his glories and describe you more. And like this, it's just raising and raising and raising until it pinnacles in those most confidential pastimes. So if you understand Lord in this way, there will be no question. What's Dharma, what's not Dharma. You will understand the highest Dharma, ultimate surrender to the Lord completely, giving him everything. Atmanivedanam, complete surrender. And yes, only humans. Animals are suffering this. Usually, after hellish planets, you're born as animal in the middle planetary systems, not as a human being. So you have to evolve further from animal life to human being again after hellish planets. So there's more kind of hellish lifestyle for you, not for you, but for those who you are all destined to attain supreme. One more clarification. No?
Give that question, but how animals progress into human form of life then? If they can't accumulate karma, they can't accumulate and participate or whatnot, right? So how can they evolve?
Yeah, there's a cycle. It's transmigration of the soul from the lowest animals to the highest animals. And the last forms is considered a cow. From a cow is a human life in a mode of goodness. From a tiger, I think, it's in a mode of passion. And from an ape, from a monkey, it's to the mode of ignorance. I mean, to human life form, but still affected by modes of passion, ignorance, and goodness. If I'm not mistaken, it's cow, tiger, and monkey. And before that, all sort of things. But as devotees are so merciful, following Anusharanam, following in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya, who was chanting to animals in the forest of Jarikanda, devotees do the same. They distribute prasad to animals, chant the holy name, animals hear it, and even participate. We've seen videos how dogs are dancing on harinams and barking, horses, and we have peacocks here, which some of them are not ordinary peacocks. Recently, Dudu came to our cabin, and I found somehow one muffin, 2 muffins, maha muffins actually, that were somehow misplaced, and somebody brought it anyway. So they were not already good enough to eat for humans, but here comes Dudu all of a sudden, exactly at that time when I found them. I was like, you guys are so lucky, you got this Maha mercy every time, somehow or other. Of course, he got it. Somehow, usually, actually, animals are dying quicker if they eat Mahaprasadam. They get liberated. But this peacock is completely transcendental. He eats so much Mahaprasad and he's still around for decades. Decades. And so what his destination after that, I don't know. Maybe promoted to Golok Vrindavana. This is the Dham. This is the holy place. He's eating Mahaprasadam. in how things are operating, alarming us if something is wrong. He's coming to Mangal artis. I don't know. Maybe it's Kartikeya's personal servant, Kartikeya, god of war. He's traveling on a peacock. Maybe it's his mode of transportation. Maybe it's a devotee. We just don't know. We really don't know what's going on. But in the holy places, there's some special animals. We had this on a Czech farm, a dog who knew when you're Suchi and when you're Muchi. So he wouldn't come close to you if you're going on the altar, if you're supposed to serve devotees. But if you say already taken prasadam and you don't have altar service, he would come and then you could pet him. His name was Damodar. Very special dog. He never barked on you, but he was always protected you. If you went to forest, he would go with you and ensure you're safe. Come back with you, but on a distance. He wouldn't just touch you, just be around. Very special. And on Jamashtami, he was waiting outside. He knew where the Mahaprasadam is. He was waiting, and he was eating only prasadam and Mahaprasadam. And on Jamashtami, he was specifically waiting behind the tent where they offer in Mahaprasadam, waiting till it's all offered, so he could get his share. Very special souls. Anyway, any other questions? Yes, Dina Palak. You can use mic. You can say. I can repeat.
And in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says, Lord is born, the whole universe is like drums playing, everybody's shouting. So I'm, obviously when we read in text, it's saying Christopher Columbus sailed the world, but it's not talking about everybody's dancing in ecstasy. So then one might be like, oh, that just means that it's,
Poetic.
yeah, but how are we supposed to understand statements like that?
Yes.
Can you repeat the last?
Yes. Oh, last. Sorry.
Just like how long since when I was born, the whole everybody in the whole universe is like shouting Haribol and ecstasy. Okay. Yeah.
In the universe, they were chanting Haribol and they were in ecstasy. Christopher Columbus was not chanting Haribol and he was not in ecstasy yet. But yet, because he is reborn and God knows what happens after. But so how do we take it? How do we understand this in Chaitanya Charitamrita anyway? Because he says inundated with love of Godhead, the whole world. How I heard it from my spiritual master is that Lord Chaitanya brought unlimited opportunities for devotional service. And devotional service is an expression of pure love. So he gave all of us opportunity to chant and preach the holy name of the Lord. And also, if you can think about it, between now and Lord Chaitanya appearance 538 years ago, it's not even a second in terms of eternal time, even in terms of Kali Yuga time. It's like he just left. It's like his Leela is continuing. Because he predicted Srila Prabhupada coming. Same as like he predicted Narottam Das Thakur coming. So we cannot say that when Lord Chaitanya disappeared from our vision, that Narottam Das Thakur was not empowered to inundate everyone in the holy name. He did exactly that. Everybody again he just revived the whole. So Prabhupada did the same. So Chaitanya Charitamrita still continues actually. And so his mercy, his potency is still there in the holy name, in Sankirtan movement, in spreading Krishna consciousness. So the whole world is already dancing, and they will dance more and more. That's the thing. So you can take it not in just that context, but in a context of a present day reality. Chaitanya Charitamrita is going on right now. Too much speculation or no? Okay.
How can I perceive it for the sun's?
Yeah. But in terms of, when I quoted my spiritual master, in terms of unlimited opportunities for devotional service, that's his gift. And that's pure love of Godhead. Through that, we attain Krishna through devotional service. He gave it. And we can see how this message has been distributed. millions and already billions, not billions, but almost a billion books, like 700 million books been distributed, something like that, across the world. So it's a huge number, and it's growing. Keep distributing. So sooner or later we will see, maybe even we will see, how this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is more manifested in this world, how it becomes predominant, how it's affecting, and how all religions will actually join this, because it's common sense. In fact, it even says that all the sampradayas will join the Brahma Madhvas, Gaudiya Sampradaya. And that's a confusing fact for me in one sense, because in Srimad Bhagavatam it says that in South India a lot of devotees will take birth, devotees of Narayana. In Srimad Bhagavatam is described in the 11th canto, it's described how so many will come in that place. And it makes sense, as Taraka Prabhu was explaining the other day, that this place is so preserved, nicely preserved for such Brahmanas and Vaishnavas to take birth, because this area has never been invaded by Muslims. So all the traditions, all the temples, all the libraries, everything is like well preserved. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also toured South India extensively for 6 years, so we can find places he visited, and there's memory of him also. So there's many saintly rivers, holy rivers. So it's a good place for devotees to come and then start spreading also this message more. We'll see, maybe we'll see that also even in this lifetime. Otherwise, Sri Sampradaya is so strong, I always am so respectful to Sri Sampradaya. But somehow, eventually it will even somehow merge by predictions. I don't know. Okay, anybody from online want to say or comment? Okay, we're running out of time, so if no question or comments, we just run out of time. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, and all glories to some devotees. Hare Krishna.
Uh-huh. Ang ganda.
Krishna Bhaktivinoda Shyama Prabhupada Govardhana Ki, Radha Ki, Guna Ki, that would be Padama Ki Jana, Radha Ki, can all great movie. Ganga Maya Maya Ki, Vasari Bhakti Ki, Samavati Bhakti Ki, I go for the Krishna Bhagavatam Ki, I now say the Ki. All verses and movies. All verses and movies. All verses and movies. All verses and sugar around the world. What is about because okay, we should contain your devotion skills. About our words, seeking the changes. Based on the first point, it's in the second, the hanging is suspicion. My unbelief is that the conscious of fear and the voice is related to the soul. The fact that the voice is the perfection of the first control. To open the mind by the ways and freedom of God can see and reach. With my Lord, I mean, stand kind of minutes, individuals, and children. Getting a picture of this open mercy, all of the mercies. Better than what else. And answer the last of us. Feeling the family around fish. Your face around the fields. It's about the race of the back of the sun to the bodies.